do the second time. We're back with Troy Fontana for episode Deuce.
Hi, I'm the Pennatrator. I'm here too.
Yeah, I was going to introduce you. The Pennatrator is a little perturbed about a conversation we had this weekend, but I don't want to get into that yet. Troy, let's talk about last week's show.
Let's do it.
How much fun did you have?
I had a great time, man. Always love chatting with you guys, and
We went on some tangents. You saw Tiger King after the episode.
I did after you guys encouraged me to do that. As I was getting a text from another friend of ours telling me to watch the show, I took the time and knocked it out.
Oh, you knocked the whole thing out?
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you think?
It's just crazy people. You know what I'm saying? Some crazy. Like from the first episode, I knew right away. I'm like, oh, these people are all nuts, dude. You know, like, oh, there's gonna be. I don't know that I'm a better person for watching it, you know, but it was all right. It was definitely very, very unique story.
So you did have kind of the same feeling with me. Like I said last week, after the first episode, I didn't feel smarter for watching it.
Yeah, when it was all over, I was kind of like, all right, like that's it. So just a bunch of nutbags.
Right.
It just stopped, and then they were like, okay, well, he's in jail, and we're gonna keep going.
Probably gonna do a part 2 of that, dude. Like they're gonna do updates on, because you know more stuff's gonna play out.
Oh yeah.
So if sports are going on, Troy, or something else, like if we're back to normal, will you watch part 2 of Tiger King if it comes out?
First of all, I don't watch like anything like that. Like I really don't ever watch.
Join the club.
Yeah, right. It's very rare for me to even watch like a TV show or anything. I'm usually like I'll watch YouTube videos at night or something and about certain topics. You know, that was a rare occasion, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's the battle, getting away from Netflix right now. Pennatrator, what did you take from last week's show?
No, it was good. It was good. I kind of don't like Troy sometimes because after he does something, then I'm like, boom, right in there. So I was on eBay for like 3 days straight, just looking at things. I didn't buy a single thing, but I was looking up everything.
So you're really getting into the trading card. You're really looking at the trading card business right now, and eBay.
I was trading cards, electronic. Yeah, iPods. I was like, okay, I got to research this one. I was like, not really like coin or anything like that, but other stuff. So.
Well, you were talking about a price off air of iPods.
Yeah.
What was the price you saw?
Generation 1 iPod unopened was going for $20,000.
So it's never been used or touched.
No.
Why
Don't
would
even know if it works,
someone want
it's in the
that for
box.
$20,000? I just don't get it.
Weird.
No, I don't either. But it's like the first generation of anything that's probably going to go, you know.
Go big? Like Nintendo?
Yeah.
What if there was an unused Nintendo system out there that was still in a box? Would that be ridiculously priced?
Oh, yeah. That would be, if an iPod is $20,000, it'd probably be like $80,000 easy for an NES unopened box. You think, Troy?
Maybe. I mean, yeah, it depends on the collectors, right? I feel like what's cool with like collectibles, it gives you a quick business lesson, supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
If there's super limited supply and there's a high demand, there goes your price. It's just going to keep rising up. If there's people who got the cash and are into Nintendo, they're going to want the unopened Nintendo sitting in their showcase or whatever. And if there's enough of those people, the price is just going to keep climbing.
My question with this whole topic, and what makes me a little tentative to even dabble in this, is we talked about this off air about offering a service that's quality. So if I'm selling a trading card, say to someone who's willing to pay $15,000 for whatever trading card, why are they buying it? To say they have it?
Well, there's two type of people. There's people who are doing what's called PC, which is personal collection, and they just have extra income, disposable income, and And a lot of times those people are geared around a specific team or a specific player, right? So like I love Oklahoma Sooners. So I love just collecting all the guys I know. Like a lot of people might not know those players, but to me they're part of my childhood or whatever. And I love collecting their cards, And the more unique, the better, right? If you got an autographed, like I autographed DeMarco Murray card, I freaking love that thing. Graded PSA 10, super rare. But most people, man, I mean, he was good in the NFL, but a lot of people may not even know that is, right? So a lot of people, but other people are doing maybe a mixture, right? Personal collection plus they're doing it as a business.
Mm-hmm.
So they're riding the trend waves. Whoever is trendy. Patrick Mahomes, super hot right now. Lamar Jackson, super hot. So your whole goal is to buy low, sell high. And they're looking to sell it to the person who is getting in the game in a different place and maybe trying to do the same thing. So maybe your 15th card that I buy, if my goal is to make business over the long run, that $15,000 card might become 50 later on. So now that's my opportunity. So I either that person, again, the C type person, or I'm just picking it up for personal collection.
I think that's kind of my point here. Would you say, Troy, that the majority of the people involved in this practice are involved in the investment, and then the minority is involved in just personal satisfaction, like they want the collectible to keep for life and to donate to maybe heirlooms?
I think the demographic is a hybrid. It's people who are on some level are a sports fan and they're collecting, they all have favorite teams and they probably collect those players and teams. And also a lot of them are looking to buy low, sell high. And that's probably the largest group of people. And then on the end, you have the people who are doing just personal collection and people who are just flipping and don't give a shit about who the person is or what team it is.
Yeah. They're looking to find that income. Pennatrator, do you kind of look at it in that way? Is that why you kind of got invested this week in it?
No, actually, I was looking at both aspects of it, right? So I was looking for, a team and like maybe, I might want to collect or start at the bottom. Like you said, like now I'm now, so I'm going to think of who's hot. But I was also looking at my team, the Niners. So I'm like, that would be really cool to have a bunch of these different things.
Did you look up Roger Craig?
I was looking at both aspects of it. No.
I'm just going to throw Niners out there just to see where your head was at. Because that's when I hear this practice, it just seems like I can see why I would like to do it. Just because it's a stimulant. It will get me going just on talking about athletes that I haven't talked about in 15, 20 years.
Yeah, and see, that's what I was also thinking about, is that since Troy is into it, it'd be cool to be like, I picked this up, or, I did that. What do you think about this? Or, just to add to the depth of our friendship and stuff like that. So I think that was kind of cool.
Right, I agree. Like, you can work out trades with each other, or share your victories or your losses even. Like, man, I thought this guy was gonna be so great, and like I was telling you guys last time about Heath Schuler, just good stories. Like, that guy sucked, and that was so great, and
Well, it's just good, I guess, right now to have that stimulus, those new activities, those new ways to think about how to actually use our time and not drink and get crazy and have stupid conversation.
Right.
Well, Pennatrator, now that you talk about that, we got in a stupid, crazy conversation about our show this week.
So we've been Zooming, we've been house partying, FaceTiming. It's been fun, but I've stayed up later than I ever have. Not ever have. Later than normal. And I'm liking beer a lot.
I am right with you there, Pennatrator. I've had to go to the store a lot in the past week. My beer intake has quadrupled. Troy, can you relate to this story right now? Would you say you're over indulging in anything or trying to control yourself on something?
Say probably working harder. Like real talk, you know what I mean? Like I dump myself into like doing. I get busier, and that's for me. I have to be careful because I've been out of balance in that in my life. I appreciate like my alone time. I appreciate my time in nature. I appreciate my time with my kids. I've learned to really value those things over work big time, because of what I've been through in my past and stuff. I think I don't like right now. I don't feel like I'm out of balance because I don't really have nothing else to do. So I'm still done in the afternoon, and I'm hanging with the kids, and I got a good energy, good smile on my face. But I can just tell that that's where I put a lot of that energy into right now. Just like, working my own business plus working some sports card hustle. I got eBay fired up. I'm trying to eBay store going and do that in the background. I got some marketing things I'm working on. So the balls are pinging around there, and we've got some good activity, but I have to remind myself, like, just in balance, one step at a time. Because when this does ease off, I want to make sure that we're loaded now. Now I'm like, great, I want to go back to my activities and hobbies, but I'm freaking buried with work.
So I think me and Pennatrator have done a lot better at, I think we've reached out to relationships that maybe have either A, went away, or B, weren't there. And Pennatrator met one of my other friends that, well, he's met him before, but he had a true conversation with him. And that gentleman had a little bit of he had some commentary about the show. Pennatrator, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so before I get into it, I think our communications with all our friends have gotten better on this. So we're not just hanging out, we're actually talking about shit. So that, I think that's cool. But yeah, this conversation we got, and Jpaddy talks about it all the time, it got in the weeds quick. So
yes, it did.
It was going fine. It was like 4,500 feet, and then it just we're scraping the ground. So apparently the Pennatrator's name offends people. So I don't get it, but okay.
Offend? Yeah, offend is the right term.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
He said, Troy, do you think the Pennatrator as a persona is offensive?
Questions like that are tough because I can only give you my personal viewpoint. That's the only thing that's going to be accurate and honest. And for me, it's not at all, right? Like, I don't give a shit. I like, for me, the more raw, the better.
Mm-hmm.
The only ball to play would be we may be missing a piece of authenticity because I can't connect to who you really are. I'm connecting to a persona. That's the only devil's advocate I would throw out there. But for me personally, I already know the guy behind the persona.
We know the Pennatrator.
All I see is a name that's different, so I don't care,
The Pennatrator has made plenty of friends with that name.
Yeah.
It's not like the Pennatrator's a bad person because his name's the Pennatrator. Going to
Troy's.
Troy's.
My wife.
Wow. Why didn't you bring that up in the conversation? That would
bringing it up now.
Yeah, but that would have put that guy in check. If you're like, you know what? That term got me my wife. I'm never losing it.
Okay, here's the thing. It was 11:30 to 12:30, and as you guys know, obviously in the show, sound carries in my house, so I can't even talk. So my words were very limited on what to say and how I could say it.
And that's what probably made it so frustrating, in that time. No,
it was fine. I was just letting him run his mouth. So he was very passionate about it, and I wasn't gonna stop him from his opinion.
I like how Pennatrator put that. He's got to have his own opinion. And that's what we want to promote with this show. The fact that we have different opinions as participants in this show, as well as the people that listen to this. We don't expect everyone to have our opinion. Would you agree with that, Pennatrator?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's kind of where we get our show uniqueness from, is getting the rub back from people's opinions.
Troy, just from your past experiences, do you feel like our minds are on the right track?
Yeah, I think something to be real cautious with opinions is we all should hope to have people in our lives who, when they share their opinion, we listen intently and we take it with extreme value. And like for me, it's a handful of people. It's people I have established relationships who maybe have experience or wisdom around an area that match my interest there. The caution too is if we listen to everyone's opinion, we'll fall away from our authentic self. And then maybe the third part of that is we have to be very honest with ourselves. That's super important. And most of that for me comes like in quiet time. If I'm like meditating in the evening or something, I really evaluate my behaviors, where my behaviors come from. Is it coming from my ego? Did I overreact here? Was it coming from fear? Did I push something on my spouse or my kids that just came from anxiety, a fear that maybe wasn't theirs to deal with? It was mine to deal with. It always has to start there with that self-evaluation first. We hope that we're all honest enough to correct ourselves 90% of the time. And then the people that we hold close to us and we esteem, value, that can fill in the gaps. Or we can go to them with specific questions about specific things. And then the third one's just an open opinion. And you all know who that is in your own lives. You have to take it has to be filtered. Always has to be filtered. Like, okay, that's cool. Like, I value that. I'll always listen. I always want to stay true to myself. And if I screwed up, then I screwed up, and I'll be honest about it.
You totally hit it. Because I wanted to refer an example, like everyone's watching Netflix right now, right?
Yeah.
And before this episode, I was talking about there's a new Chappelle episode out where he wins an award. And he makes this comment about people that are in a creative outlet, whether it's comedy, whether it's music. But he said, stuck to me, he's like, if you're not passing a line, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, I mean, look, dude, the stuff that stands out is always going to be the outliers, the extremes. And it doesn't mean it has to be extremely bad. It can be extremely good, extremely slanted towards sports, extremely slanted towards a certain type of personality, whatever. Extremely slanted towards a huge Boston accent, you know what I mean? But usually when we just play in the middle, man, that's like the worst spot, you know what I'm saying? If you make, in business, if you make a product that's for everybody, you're in the biggest field of competition, you're not niched out, you're not unique in any way, and you don't have legs, you won't last. You need to be super niched out, super in a certain spot, because then you provide unique value, and that's usually the only way you can provide unique value. And we all need that. Whatever we're bringing, whatever we're delivering has to come with that value. And if it's a certain type of personality that you bring, 90% of the people might not listen to it, but 10% of the people who do are going to be deeply connected to it. Mm-hmm. And we can't all play to the masses. We need to each take our little slice. Play to that 10%. You play to that 10%. I play to this one. They play to that one. And then we all connect and we help each other together.
Fontana, this kind of leads into the next area. You've ran multiple businesses. Have you ever went through a time where maybe you have an example of where you were getting feedback that maybe wasn't set to what your business model was, but it was still loud enough that you felt like you had to acknowledge it, and how did you deal with it?
Oh, good question. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember when I had a personal training studio, and I was really young. I was like early 20s, like 24, 25. I had built this thing out of pure just passion. I put everything into it, right? Everything financially I had, all my heart and soul into it. And I had clients who I would train who were older, more experienced, a lot of them with business experience. They were all well-intentioned, but they would often share, like, you should change this, you should do this. And it was so overwhelming at times with opinions that I remember one time almost like wanting to cry. Like, this lady was telling me, like, something stupid, something with the blinds, like literally, like it didn't make a bit of difference, but it was just too much. I was like, God, I just wanted to break down. I remember, like, cry right there in front of her. So I learned, like, God, I really have to filter these opinions. I have to find people that I value or experience. I need to go to them and ask them, like, hey, what do you think I could do better here? And they would give me good feedback, and it would be at the right time when I was asking for it. We always had to be with unsolicited advice. Then you're like the parent who just throws shit at their kid all the time.
Yeah.
And what does that create? It creates resentment, right? And oftentimes I want to go the opposite way. I've been overwhelmed with feedback before, but I've also gotten some of the best things about myself, my life, and business from other people. Like, real talk. I mean, I rarely have a great idea myself. They're usually from someone else. I see it, I read it, I talk to somebody about it. So we have to be have that kind of openness, but again, put it through our filter. You know?
Right.
And where you guys get your feedback or who they are, I'm sure a lot of them are great. I'm sure you've gotten other ones that have stung, and maybe they didn't need to sting.
So I want to take this opportunity to tell our listeners and everyone who is involved in this show, that's why feedback's so important, whether it's negative or positive. And we've spoke about this till we're pink in the face, but you guys need to somehow comment. And don't be scared to give us something negative. Pennatrator took it a little rough on Saturday.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I was fine. I was totally fine. It was a conversation afterwards.
Fontana just pretty much put it on a platter about, yes, there can be tons of feedback and you have to filter it, but that doesn't mean let us filter it. We'll figure out what aspects we'll use for us.
Well,
There you go.
that's super cool here because you're also telling your audience that you don't claim to know it all, and your audience is going to help you improve, and you're willing to pivot, willing to adjust as you move along. And I mean, like, honestly, like, if you think of yourself as like a human, you're a baby right now. Like, you guys can't have it figured out. You're early in the game. You have to have time to grow. Like, I think of that with like businesses like that. Businesses go through a life cycle. They start out as a baby. They're super vulnerable. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. And as you move along, they mature, and then they go into adolescence where they're dangerous. They can do a lot of good, but they can make a lot of mistakes. And later on, they get into a more stable and a more wise place, to the point where they can almost get too stable and too wise, and they're stagnant. So I always say it's a life cycle. And, you know, you got any creative ventures, no freaking different. No different.
Creative ventures are the most difficult area to get into because there's no set guidelines. There's no real rules.
Well, you're vulnerable. You're also putting yourself out there, dude. Like, you know, anybody who has done a creative venture, you put it out there, it's a piece of art. You thought about it a lot of time. You wanted to paint something. You painted it, and you present it to the world. And the world is maybe 5 people to you, right? 10 people, 50, whatever. And that can dictate a lot. You can take it, receive it, mold it, move it. It takes a lot of confidence to move forward in the face of that. But the biggest gift you could ever give yourself in a creative venture, ever, remember this, is consistency. Freaking consistency, dude. If you don't be consistent, you don't have the opportunity to pivot. You don't have the opportunity to learn about yourself. And at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's about you, dude. It's about what are you learning for yourself. Whatever the fuck you do, like, at the end of it, hopefully become a better person. Like, hopefully become a better person. That's it. Like, for me, dude, I've face planted so many times that I'm a master at getting back up and figuring things out. Like, a master at it. Like, give me any little task. Like, I'm in it. I'm engaged. Like, let's go. But it came from getting my ass kicked, handed to me over and over. You know what I mean? But that was the gift I learned. It wasn't any money. It wasn't anything. It doesn't freaking matter. None of that it matters. What matters at the end of the day is what I bring to the table as a person, to my family, and the people around me, dude. And it's the same with all of us.
My monitor's smoking. Fontana was on fire about that one.
Just passionate, man, about that. You know?
Be comfortable being uncomfortable.
That's right.
Did you hit the record button on that? Because I don't think we could recreate that again.
No. Pennatrator, I think it's going to happen more often. I think I create a little fire in your belly a little bit before this episode. Just a little bit. You stay pretty controlled, I'll admit that.
Yeah, that's fine.
But my goal is to make you lose your shit a little. But on that note, the wool story last week was awesome. What are you going to bring for us now on the Pennatrator Story of the Week for this week? That noise doesn't go over as well. Let's help. Troy, can you please do it too?
Okay, so this one comes out of my second favorite state.
California.
No, God no. Pennsylvania.
Oh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
This is perfect. Thank you.
So in Pennsylvania, there's a small little town called Centralia, and they have this cool landmark, I guess. It's not like a landmark, and the reason why I bring this up is I want to see what you guys say. But they have this thing called the graffiti highway, and the reason why this thing is making the news is that they're tearing it down. And so what happened is, because of the rona, all these people had time and they're going out to this highway and just disrupting all the people around it. So what it was is like they had a road, it looked like a decent road, and they kind of went around it, new highway, and then people just started spray painting it. It looks cool, cars aren't driving on it, but now they're putting dirt on it to cover it up to get rid of the thing. That is my story.
You know what that reminds me of? Have you guys been to the Donner Tunnel Trail?
No.
Where the Donner Pass was, where the railroad went through. Those tunnels have been graffitied, and it is one of the coolest things to walk through because of just, it's like 50, 60, 70 years of graffiti that has covered this concrete.
And that's what I wanted to bring up too, is there's so many different things like that in our state, right? There's that, or any state. There's like little landmarks where people just started a trend on different things, right? And the people go there and they see it, they add their own stuff to it, and it becomes a thing. And then when it becomes too big, then they just got to tear it. Like, why would you tear it down? I mean, it's a thing. Like, why don't you embrace it? So that's why I wanted to bring it up, is my favorite brewery, not favorite, but one of my favorites is in Carson, and it's called Shoe Tree. And it's those trees, where people stop and throw the shoes on there.
Oh, nice.
I have no idea about this.
What's that?
I have not heard about this. Explain.
Oh, you've never heard it? Okay, so in the middle of Nevada, they'll have trees on the side of the road, and people will take like an old pair of shoes, new ones, tie them together and throw them into the tree. So these trees that are almost kind of dead anyways start getting life with all these hanging shoes on it. And then if they get big enough, the NDOT comes out and fucking cuts the tree down. And, these are like landmarks. You're like, oh, we'll stop at the tree and take a piss or whatever. They're like a living landmark, and they just tear it down. So this one was cool. So I don't know if we can get a trend going, just start having people
try to help save it.
No, they already dumped all the stuff on it, so it's gone. But like this week or last week is when it happened. But I think we need to embrace those, especially in Nevada, when we have those long highways of just fucking nothing. You're like, oh, here's like when you're driving out to Sand Mountain, there's the names in the rocks. People will put their name rocks, and if it gets too big, they'll just tear it down. So I think there's something to be said about that culture of.
Definitely. Yeah, I just oversaw an article about it, and I still don't understand why they're shutting it down. Like, I see why you said, well, in the article they talk about what COVID-19 and why they're going out there more to get away.
Yeah, so they're not around people, but they're going out there. And they have had like an influx of people just going out there spray painting the stuff. So in order to shut it down, they're just covering it up.
Wow, Pennatrator, you brought a story with depth.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you guys a surprise. I had a story that I was going to use if the Pennatrator Story of the Week didn't have the depth that I thought it would. So now, should I take this show to the shit?
Yeah, about time.
Are we switching roles?
Go for it.
I want to bring up this story because we talked about earlier how we're interacting with people that maybe we got away from. And my buddy Joe T, I gave him a phone call and we had a big conversation about life and whatnot. And then I learned something very hidden about him. And I talked to the Pennatrator about this. So yeah, toilet paper's gone everywhere, right? Fontana, Pennatrator. Have you guys ever thought of buying a bidet to save, you don't have to buy as much toilet paper. You're saving trees for a small investment.
I want one, for real talk.
What's that?
Real talk. I want one.
You want one? So, do you know the degrees of bidets?
Do I know the degrees of sprays?
Bidets. Like the different functions that they can have with the more you pay.
No. Like warm water. I'm assuming warm water, cold water.
Okay. All right. That's one little aspect. So, if you don't spend as much, approximately $150, you can get a basic bidet. You get the general spray up the back. It hooks up to the water. You get a spray, and it's pressurized. Okay. So that's pretty much the basics of that one. As you spend more money, they can have the temperature of the water change. You can get an air dry where it actually has a function where it'll blow air.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's a cool function. The third function's the best one, though. Seat warmer, which means if you're just sitting on there and you know you're going to take a little bit more time doing your business, you can get a little warmth just on your rear as you're waiting for the business to fulfill the packages. I think that's a good way to put it, like in the processing.
You might need to get off, you know what I mean?
Yeah, think about that. Think of how nice your shit would be if the seat was like nice and warm. You'd be like, ooh.
You know, we got to wrap this up, but I just want to give the point that a lot of people believe they get their best thoughts while they're in that process. Like sometimes you're on the shitter for a little bit and people like get inspired and they think about things that maybe they wouldn't think of while they're sitting on the couch. It's just a different environment.
So you're trying to say the bidet might increase the chances of that happening?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm saying the bidet can help with the creative process for some people.
I think you thought about it way too much without a bidet, so maybe...
and I didn't even have it yet. So I don't even...
Just take the leap, dude. We all know why you really want it, dude. Just take the leap.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think this is the last point. Joe T did say this. He says you have to get used to it. Because like the first couple times you use it...
Oh, I'm sure.
When there's a garden hose spraying water up in that area, you gotta get. You totally gotta get used to that.
I'd have to try it out first.
Well, on that note, that's episode 29. Great episode.
Yeah, Troy, thank you.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, guys. Thank you.
If you're trying to find Troy Fontana, you can find him at glasslungpipes.com.
At Mr. Troy 11, I think is my Instagram.
We'll guess it.
Like that.
We'll put another link in. _ Penetrators breaking in.
Oh yeah, _ Pennatrator. Side note, I got an extra viewer, so I'm up to 62.
Really?
Ball rolling.
Really?
Rolling.
Dude, you beat me. I didn't get one this week.
Oh, well, it's on.
Yeah. I can't let the Pennatrator catch up with me. It's inevitable. I promote him more than I promote myself. You can find the show on www.paddybadwagon.wixsy.com. You can find